12:05. Make it 12:06 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. And it's Wednesday afternoon. That music of your life means it's time to get things going for this Wednesday and Helping Seniors of Brevard. Let's introduce to you right now the host of Helping Seniors of Brevard and the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink. Good afternoon, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper, and welcome. If you are joining us, we are so glad that you are here, right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF, where we gather lunchtime each and every Wednesday for Helping Seniors Radio. Hello to those of you joining us online at WEJF.net. And then also, for those of you that will catch this as a podcast later, wherever you enjoy your podcast, any place from Spotify to iHeartRadio to Apple iTunes, etc. It's really nice that we have technology that helps us get good information in the hands of seniors and those who care for them around the well, really, we're a Brevard County organization, so we serve Brevard County, but really, the podcast, we get calls from people who may be listening every place from California to up north. It happens. And we're excited. Let me go ahead and introduce right away none other than Seniors Helping Seniors of Brevard. She is the owner, president, whatever grand titles would be.
Head cook and bottle washer.
That works too. I'm talking about Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, longtime friend of the Helping Seniors. She's been on the board almost since the day that our president and founder Joe Steckler organized this whole thing. How are you today, Jennifer?
I am wonderful. It's great to be here.
And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest, but I was telling her, I said, I want to reserve a couple of minutes because we've got so many things. I want to give you a second to grab a pencil and a piece of paper to jot down some information, because there's some fun stuff coming up, in addition to good information that's coming up, because today's radio show is called Your Transportation Options. It's kind of been our theme this whole month. If you picked up your copy of Senior Scene magazine, you know that was our focus, was talking about transportation. So there's good information in your free copy of Senior Scene magazine. If you don't have a copy handy, but you have a computer nearby, you can just go to seniorscenemag.com, read the whole thing online, including what we call the yellow pages, which are those 12 pages center section that we try to publish each month in effort to give you information, as Joe Steckler, our president and founder, would call it, to help you make an aging plan. So you have some idea. You know, like a hurricane plan doesn't mean you want a hurricane. It just means you want a plan. And same with aging, doesn't mean you necessarily want to age, but you need a plan. And we kind of euphemistically call that getting your ducks in a row. And so with that kind of as a backdrop, we've been talking about this transportation thing all month, both, in radio, on the social media, and of course with the car raffle coming up. But in the studio, we're very, very fortunate to also have another very special guest. Her name is Amber Payne. She is the Director of Case Management for the law office of Amy B. Van Fossen. Hello, Amber.
Hello.
Welcome to radio.
Thank you.
So, if it's okay with you, we're gonna share a little bit of information right off the bat about some important things that we hope that you will take advantage of. The first is we're going to kind of work backwards. We're going to start with a week from Saturday. So we are talking Saturday, October 7th, 2023. Why are we talking about that, Jennifer?
Because it's the night at the museum.
Yes, and what happens at the museum, and
someone is going to walk away with a brand new car, and they're going to choose which car they take. They have a choice of 5 different vehicles. Of course, they're going to choose the Dodge this year. I'm confident of that.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this whole Dodge versus Chevy thing in a moment. But Jennifer is exactly correct, because on Saturday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., the museum we are talking about is Mark Pylock's amazing American Muscle Car Museum. It's right there, 3500 Sarno Road. You know, a lot of, because it's not a public museum. It's basically Mark's private garage, right?
Exactly. So this is one of the ways that you can get in, and it's not open to the public. You can't just walk up to the door and get in. You have to go to an event. So ours is the event that you should come to so you can see his fabulous collection.
Yeah, I want to say it's really kind of Mark, because every year since he's been open, he's kindly allowed us to come back and do the grand drawing. So this is our 7th annual Helping Seniors car raffle. So 6 out of the 7 have been at the museum. He wasn't open the first year that Joe started the car raffle thing back. But I got to tell you, he makes it so easy for us as a charity. Usually, it's kind of like a black tie upper tier kind of event, so maybe tickets are like $150, $200 to go in there. Mark said, "Listen, I really want to help you guys." He said, "If they get a raffle car ticket, that's fine. They're welcome to come in." And so over the years, this has become by far the single biggest event. That's an event. Last year, I think there was 3,000 folks or so that showed up. Although, lest you think that is crowded, let me tell you, when you get in these 2 aircraft hangar rooms, it's not crowded, Jennifer.
Yeah, would you say maybe 2 football fields?
Yeah, it's huge.
It's amazing. It's huge. Have you been there, Amber?
I haven't had the pleasure of being there yet.
Oh, Amber's she's coming
Saturday
this year.
night, October 7th, not a doubt.
It is incredible, the number of cars there, and the memorabilia.
Yes.
And there's more than cars. There's motorcycles. There's tractors. There's a little ice cream truck.
There's a big pink shoe.
Yeah,
with wheels.
That is not very easy to get out of, by the way.
Right. No, but this is the point. Like, you don't even have to be like a car geek. You just walk in there. Like, I had no idea Porsche was a tractor company before they started doing race cars. And Mark has just such cool memorabilia. He's got like the best of the cars, but he's got all this other great stuff in there too. It's just that's why we call it a night at the museum, because you can't even begin. Even if you were there last year, so first of all, he's added 40 cars, Jennifer, since last year.
He has, and they've rearranged things. There's a whole lot more bi-level displays. There's different things. I noticed there were different things out in the lobby. He has added a lot of interesting signage. It's amazing. I always get a kick out of the little outboard motors that he has out in the lobby. There's an Evinrude. If you're a fan of the Rescuers in Disney, there's just so many things to see there.
Yeah, it's such a fun night. So Amber, let me kind of like break this down for you. This is how the night goes. So it's real simple to participate. You buy a ticket. 1 ticket is a $25 donation. 5 tickets is a $100 donation. That's your best value. First of all, it's a donation to the Helping Seniors charity. We're 100% local. We're in our 13th year of service locally. We cannot do the work we do without your help. So when you buy a ticket, you're supporting our work. That's, for us, that's the important part, because literally this is about half of our budget every year. I can't imagine, with the record number of calls that Nancy and Karen take on the Senior Info helpline, I can't imagine we'd even be able to manage that if we didn't have the financial support that comes out of the raffle. But the fun part of the raffle is you get to pick a car you want to win. So Joe Steckler and AJ Hires, the great car dealer here in our area, have been friends. Joe said, "Kerry, we've been working together giving away cars since the mid-'90s, because Joe, of course, got Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation off and running, built the Joe's Clubs, retired from that, couldn't stay retired, created Helping Seniors, and here we are 13 years later running the county senior information helpline." But Joe said this is a good way to get people excited about donating money, because they get so much out of it, right? You could go home somebody is going to go home with a new car on Saturday, October 7th. It might as well be you. But then you also have this wonderful evening at the museum, and Mark Pylock makes it so easy. We kind of show up. He's got everything set up, sandwiches, talk about.
Yeah, food and beverages. So you can have a glass of wine and walk around, or a beer, sodas, lots of different food items. So you can't, it's the best date night ever.
Yeah.
You really couldn't go out for a date night for less than this.
No,
win a car and support a great cause.
So
it's
talking
just
about
a win-win.
5 tickets for $100. I say you can't take, 2 people can't take 3 kids out for pizza and a movie for $100. So this is like the best deal in town. Everybody talks about the price of things going up. The price of the tickets has not gone up.
No, it has not.
No. So then you get into which car. So Amber, so this is what happens at about 7:45. So you're invited in 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Again, we're talking with Amber Payne, who's Director of Case Management for the law office, Amy Van Fossen. We're going to talk about transportation options here in a minute. But as you're kind of like the newbie to this. So the cars are a 2023 Dodge Challenger, 2023 Chevy Camaro. And let me put a little sidebar in here because I'm going to come back to those two cars. You could also choose a 2023 Mazda Miata convertible, no less, a 2023 Kia Sportage, which is a cool little SUV, or now that AJ has Mitsubishi, there's a Mitsubishi Outlander that's available. So you get 5 cars this year to pick and choose from. Well, early on, 2 of the folks who sit on our volunteer board of directors, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, who is here with us today, and Ashley Caswell, who is with Roll IT and is not here to defend herself today. The first year this came up, everybody took sides. Jennifer's like, there is no car other than the Dodge Challenger. About that same time, Ashley pops up from the other side of the conference table where we have our board meetings and said, no, you got it all wrong. It's all about the Camaro. Well, that started it. So 4 years ago, we called up Mark and his great team at the American Muscle Car Museum and said, you got that test track, right? Can we run these cars out and see what happens? And they said, maybe not wisely, but they said, yes, you can. So we got cameras out there, and that became the first annual Dodge versus Chevy Challenge. And the whole point was that, Jennifer, you were going to show Ashley that the Dodge was a better car, and she was out to show you the reverse.
And I did. The Dodge is the better car.
Well, that's what I say. Ashley's not here to defend
exactly.
her position.
So I'm going to take advantage of that.
I think so. So then we had to do a rematch, right? So the same thing happened. Nobody could figure out. Third year, we did it. We did like third time's a charm or whatever they like to say. Nobody could. Everybody's like Dodge, Chevy. So we did it again this year. Let me just say it got so wild that Sheriff Ivy had to pull you guys over.
Which was really funny and scary at the same time.
You have to see it. It was all, they don't call it caught on tape anymore, but it was all caught on, we can't say filmed anymore. It was all caught somehow. Anyway, it's on our Facebook page. It's on our YouTube channel. Go see it. It's a scream. It's you when Sheriff Ivy pulls these, they think they're having a drag race. They're like very cool. They're going to get on Mark Pylock's test track, and all of a sudden, here comes Sheriff Ivy, lights and sirens ablazing, and pulls you guys over.
Oh yeah, and I didn't. Wait, do we go? We're being filmed. Should we keep going? Do we stop?
What are we supposed to do here?
Should I pull over here? Where do we go? Oh my gosh, what do we do?
Yeah. So anyway, check that out. How do you get tickets for this? Because let's bring this back to center. And then we're going to ask Amber for her pick. Like if she wins. So let's bring this back to center. What car? How do we get tickets, Jennifer?
So there are lots of different ways. You can stop down at the Senior Resource Center at 1344 South Apollo Boulevard, and we would be very happy to sell you a ticket live and in person. But you can also go on to helpingseniors.carraffle.com. Easy way to go online and purchase tickets, do your donation. And then you can also call the senior helpline, talk to Nancy at 321-473-7770.
Perfect.
Bonify's Hires.
Yes.
Those locations. I think Amy Van Fossen's office has some tickets. Yes. So yeah, anyone in the seniors, I almost did it myself. Anyone in the Helping Seniors of Brevard County world will likely have tickets on them. So
yeah. It's just a great night. And so with that, now, Amber, we're going to put you on the spot.
Drum roll, please.
Okay. If we pulled your winning ticket on Saturday, October 7th, which car do you like?
The Chevy Camaro all day long.
Oh.
Ashley's already gotten to her.
I know. It's like it's somebody drank the Kool-Aid or something. I don't know. So, but it's funny. You got to check out DodgeVChevyChallenge.com. But you can also get your tickets, again, helpingseniors.carraffle.com. So real quick, one other date, and this is coming up fast. This is this Saturday morning on the occasion, 1 week before the grand drawing at the American Muscle Car Museum. So we're talking Saturday, September 30th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. You're invited to pop in. We are doing our Senior Resource Center of Brevard open house, and it's going to be fun because it's going to be inside and outside. Jennifer, talk about what's coming up.
Oh, it's going to be wonderful. So we have a car show, car meet out front in the big parking lot in front of our building. 40 or 50 cars
that's what
are
they're
expected to
saying.
be there, which is amazing. So we're going to have lots of fun cars to look at. I believe we're also going to have our 5 cars.
That's correct.
At least 4 out of the 5 cars there live and in person, so you can look to see which one you really do want to win. We have the doors open for the Senior Resource Center. Come up, take a look around. We have free coffee and donuts in the morning, and then in the afternoon we're going to have cookies, lemonade, tea, water.
Yeah.
We have some really fun, very cool door prizes for people to win. So come on upstairs and put your ticket in the basket of the door prize that you would like to win. We have a lot of industry professionals that will be on hand. So that's the day. Come in, ask questions, walk around, talk to people, get information. It's the freebie. Come in and talk to people and get questions answered, no strings attached.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a fun drop-in with stuff going on outside. I think I heard from Vicki Moore there's even going to be a couple of food trucks. They're going to have like an ice cream truck out there. And
is there going to be music?
Yes. So we call him Uncle Nick, but he's the guy who entertains beautifully out at the Fresh Scratch Bistro car shows. He's always a great musician, great entertainer, just a fun person. And he's agreed to come out and be part of this on Saturday as well. And then inside, like I said, Jennifer, I think you came up with the name. We're just calling it Cars, Coffee, and Connections. And so. Inside, both Vitas and Senior Care Authority are providing coffee and donuts, so that's all complimentary. So, and then, by the way, if you go to a food truck, I think we get some. They donate into helping seniors, so that's available. So it's going to be a fun drop by Saturday morning, and make sure you got your tickets for the car raffle. And I was just reading a note that you guys, I'm talking about the law office of Amy Van Fossen. Amber, you guys are going to have a table with us there in the information part of it, which they're letting us take over the whole lobby. So if you come up to the second floor, you see where the Helping Senior Resource Center is, but we're going to actually take over that whole lobby and have displays out there. It's going to be a fun morning. So that's this Saturday, so be there. And with that, we kind of have been talking about transportation options because one very good transportation option would be winning your new car on October 7th. But let's set that aside and move a little bit farther. Jennifer, with your company, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, this is an area that you guys do help seniors because you hire seniors to help seniors, and one of the things that you often do is help them get to and from appointments and things, right?
Oh, absolutely. Transportation to doctor's appointments, grocery store, errands, just out socially. We do have a 2-hour minimum once per week, so 1 2-hour block per week, and often that's the first kind of entry into home care. People may have stopped driving because of glaucoma or macular degeneration. Something's happened where they're not comfortable anymore driving. So we will schedule a once a week pickup where we take them out and get all of their shopping and errands done for them, bring them back home, help them inside with the groceries. And often that's all that they need, in the very, very beginning. So we're very happy to do that.
Yeah. And here's the cool thing. I'm going to ask you to give a number if somebody wants to get help like that. But also, you guys are a great employer in Brevard County. So I don't know if you're looking for drivers or things like that. But anyway, give a number and talk a little bit about that. So.
Yes, I can be reached at 321-722-2999. Again, that's 321-722-2999. And we are looking for people, especially down in Melbourne Beach. I keep plugging Melbourne Beach, but we would love to have more folks in Melbourne Beach and actually Cocoa Beach, too. We would love some more people.
And we've talked about this pretty extensively. People think like, well, I have to have some sort of a special certification or some background. And I love how you put it. You say you love to look for the person who has the heart of a volunteer but doesn't mind taking a paycheck.
Exactly. And a lot of times our best employees are people who have cared for their mom or dad, or they've cared for a spouse, and unfortunately that person has moved on, and they have all of these valuable skills that they really would feel great about using for another person. They can go home at night and rest and relax. It's a very flexible part-time position, but they can use all of those skills that they've learned to help another senior in their family.
Yeah, it's so important. That's Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. But also in the studio with us, we have Amber Payne with the law office of Amy B. Van Fossen, and she is the director of case management. So, Amber, I guess when we talk about case management, we're thinking about managing medical care and all kinds of issues that come up with the folks that you're helping. But I guess transportation comes into that a lot as well.
Absolutely.
And so when there's got to be like lots of different ways that you approach that. Some, because I guess that's what case management is, right? Every case is different, right?
Yes, you're managing that person's life, ultimately.
Yeah. I remember talking to Amy Van Fossen, who is the head of she's the founder of the law firm. She's got a bunch of great attorneys that work together with her. And I remember her saying that she got into case management, which is kind of unusual for an elder law firm to do. But she said this was really important because she wanted to make sure that the clients were actually being well taken care of, and there was some question marks she'd run into with things before that. Talk a little bit about what case management is and how you guys work with clients for that.
Absolutely. So case management is really catered towards each individual's needs. So
Right.
we can do as much or as little as needed. We can literally manage your entire life, or
Yeah.
we can just set up transportation for you or manage your doctor's appointments. So it's really catered toward each individual's need.
Well, when we get into the second half of our show, we're going to really try to dig into, like, how do you work with a client and help them manage that whole chapter of their life? It's a whole part of it. But in the meanwhile, I just want to kind of say this about law office of Amy Van Fossen, because you guys are always busy educating in the community. You guys do a lot of education seminars on all these different areas that seniors and their families really need to know about. If somebody wants to get in touch with you about case management or anything like that at the law office, I know there's a good website. It's amybvanfossen.com. And we'll get back and give you a number as well that you can reach out to. But really encourage, Amber, people to maybe explore that website because there's so much good resources there.
Absolutely. Amy Van Fossen is an excellent elder law attorney, and she can help you with all aspects of your aging life. If you wanted to check out Amy's website, it's amybvanfossen.com, and there's excellent resources on there. You can sign up for seminars if you want to know more about certain aspects of what Amy does.
Absolutely. And that music says we're at our half show break, so we'll be right back with more in just a bit on Helping Seniors Radio.
And it's good to hear that music of your life, meaning it's time to get back to the second half of our show today, Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here is the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard and the host of our show, Kerry Fink. Kerry?
Hey, thank you, John Harper. It's great to be back for second half of our lunchtime gathering here on 90.3 FM, WEJF. Welcome back online, WEJF.net. And thanks for still listening if you caught this as a podcast, which a lot of people are doing in growing numbers every day. By the way, we also make these programs, the radio programs, available both on our Facebook page and then also on our YouTube channel. So those are kind of good resources for you to know about, particularly the YouTube channel. People like to go in and search by topic, so like if you're looking for, like today we're talking about your transportation options. So what a great thing, you can go in and type in the search bar and get Helping Seniors, either TV programs or radio programs we've done along the way about that. By the way, our website is helpingseniors.brevard.org, and everything we do, from newsletter articles to all the things that Joe publishes. You probably see his articles in Hometown News, Aldea Today, Senior Scene Magazine, all that stuff we archive, and it's all available to you. And we find out that people run into something after a while, and then they start to search, and all these great resources are available there at helpingseniors.brevard.org. So today we're talking about transportation options. And in the studio, we have none other than Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, who yourself and your company are, in fact, a transportation option.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about that more. But also, we have the very good privilege of having Amber Payne, who is the Director of Case Management for the law office of Amy B. Van Fossen. And that means part of her job, among other things, is organizing transportation to and from various things that the people that you guys are helping need help to get there with. So welcome back, Amber. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So let's talk for a minute. Like, a case comes to you, and in the process, I guess a great deal of what you do is you're helping them manage, I think to a large extent, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to ever assume, like, I know I'm not that smart, but I also think a lot of times people in the industry assume we know more than we know. So, like, we just say, you're Director of Case Management. I'm not even sure most of us know what case management is. Maybe we start there, but I'm assuming you're helping a person manage everything that's connected to, like, medical and all those kind of things. But talk about that maybe as a place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. So case management, it's a wide range. We manage all aspects of each individual's life. So we can help with housing when it's time to transition from home to a facility. We can help with managing doctor's appointments. We can help sell your car. It's just really whatever you need help with in your life. We manage it. I say a lot of times we're a lot like rented daughters.
Well,
and I'll chip in here. I see the need for case managers with what we do at Seniors Helping Seniors. We're in the home, and a lot of times either there is no family. Maybe they didn't have children, or the family is out in California or up in New York and not able, they're still working, so they're not able to come down and see mom or dad as often as they would like. So there's no quote unquote boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So we'll be the ones that will call and say, hey, we're a little concerned about this, or, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're looking at. But if that person goes to the hospital, who's making the medical decisions for them?
Right.
Or if that person maybe has some memory loss and they're not able to pay their bills anymore, we're not going to write checks out of the checkbook. We're not going to manage their finances. We won't do POA or case management with our clients because, well, I could pay myself then, and that would be very unethical. So, we draw that line. So if a client has that need, we will refer them to a case manager. You've got somebody here in Florida, right in town, that can make medical decisions, until either the family gets there, or can manage the bills so that the family doesn't need to, or maybe there is no family. So someone who can make decisions on behalf of that client. So case management, really, I think in Florida especially, because we have so many snowbirds or people that have retired down here and the families are still elsewhere, it's really a needed thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like I said in the first part of the show, I remember Amy saying, this is a bit unusual for a law office to take this on, but it was her, I don't want to say it was out of frustration, but she said, I just really want to see the people we work with get the quality of help and care that they need. Amber, talk a little bit about how you approach all of that. Like how, here comes somebody, and then you've got to sit down, and I guess you probably sort of first try to map out some strategy about what needs to happen, or how does if somebody comes into case management with the law office, how do you guys figure out how we can best help?
Well, we start with what we call an intake, and it's very detailed. And we touch on every aspect of their life. We set out what we call plans as far as what they would like to see done in the future if XYZ happens. And that can be quite a lengthy process.
Sure.
But we dig into their life. We figure out exactly what's going on, what needs to happen. And then we execute. And sometimes, too, we'll have people who know, well, I don't have family here. I don't really need help right now, but in the event that I do need help, I want somebody to be able to call on. And then we have what we we call a standby feature. So that person can, I'm still going to dig into their life. I'm still going to get all their information so that I'm ready to act should that person need my help. But it is a quite in-depth process once we bring somebody aboard, and we just basically dig into their life and figure out what they need.
See, I think that's fascinating. You talked about, basically you're on standby to activate. And I was thinking about that because we talk so often with Jennifer Barton about what they do with seniors helping seniors being companion care. Am I saying that right?
Yes, homemaker companion.
And so what happens when you do homemaker companion, we've always talked about is you really like that first rung or that first element of care. And we've talked about this particularly like through COVID, and a lot of times you're dealing with out-of-state adult children who are calling you like, how's mom or dad doing? And you guys are kind of the ones that many times have to say, okay, this is reaching a point where now maybe a higher level, we got to go to the next rung of care or things like that. And that's what you're talking about with the case manager, right?
Absolutely. So we a lot of times are the very first ones in the home because we are a homemaker companion company. We really do hire seniors to go out. So we're often having that conversation of here's what home care looks like, and please let us in, because so many seniors are a little bit wary of having help in the house for the very first time, understandably. So we're having those conversations, but we'll walk that walk, and sometimes 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, they need more help. They need some hands-on help, or maybe they have had a couple of trips to the doctor's office or to the hospital, and it's the daughter can't fly just in a couple of hours from California, and she's working 40 hours a week. So we see the gaps. Yeah. And we will suggest, hey, it's time to have a case manager that can make decisions. And it's good that they do that in-depth intake. I know it sounds intrusive. It's really not. It's to find out where are the gaps? How do we plug those gaps so that everything is covered? So God forbid somebody goes to the hospital, decisions, quick decisions can be made based on that intake of what you want to have happen, what you want to have done in that situation. So it's just kind of covering all the bases and insurance so that if something does happen, there's peace of mind knowing that your wishes are going to be taken care of, and you've got a person that you know and trust to take care of those things for you.
Yeah, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, and Amber Payne with the law office of Amy B. Van Fossen. That was a thing that, we haven't really even talked about yet. Let's suppose you're the adult child or somebody that really does care about the senior. One of the problems is, even if you had the time or had the interest that you want to help this person, the problem is you may not have the skill set to know, because I remember going through stuff with, our moms, and trying to figure out, the doctors come and say, well, here's where we're at, and you're having to make these decisions, but you don't really have the background to make those decisions the right way. But that's something that you guys really are able to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have several families that are involved, and we're more of a backup and a sounding board for that person. So we can totally be a resource for somebody who's already here, and we do have several clients that use us in that aspect as well.
Right, but it's really the fact that you have that level of experience. I love a thing I heard Amy say. She said, a lot of times people come to the office and they go through their explanation of where they're at, and for them, this is a huge life, issue, and it may be something you go through once or twice in your life. She said, we're helping families 20 or 30 at a time, so that experience really matters and comes into play.
Oh, 100%. I hear it all the time. Families that are so overwhelmed, and they're like, how do you know what to do? It's okay. It's okay. We do this every day. This is what we do. That's what we're here for. So,
we talk about that a lot. I mentioned that we talk about an aging plan, which we call getting your ducks in a row, which is a lot of the things that you were talking about that you asked through in that intake form. And then I said, we quickly learned, like, the corollary to this is we say, don't try this on your own, because there is so much expert help that you don't need to risk making a mistake or trying to understand something that maybe doesn't make sense for you to try to understand. Why not ask the expert? You go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, here's where we're at. You could do A, B, or C. And, I can tell. This is a story I love to tell. It's like going to a dentist and the dentist saying, "Well, what do you want to do?" It's like, I don't know. You're the dentist. You need to say, like, you could A, B, or C, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the expertise that you guys bring to a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about transportation, because I know that's one facet. You know, we've covered all these different areas, but there's a lot of different ways people can get around. How do you guys help clients with that?
Well, it again depends on each individual client. There's a lot of free resources out there. So if they needed help with financially finding that type of transportation, there's the Resource Center for Disability Solutions, and there's also Aging Matters. Both of those, though, they do require you to do an application ahead of time.
Yes.
And then once you're on their list and you're established with them, you do have to give them notice. So you need to plan ahead to use those types of services.
Very much so.
But they're excellent. They're absolutely excellent.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about that a little bit during the show break. I said, you know, one of the challenges is we get these calls all the time at the Helping Seniors info line. Somebody will call us and say, well, I got to be at the doctor at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And as much as we'd love to help, there's not really any free or low-cost resources at that point, because once again, you've run your timeline out to a place where, you know, I realize it's not always meant that we procrastinated. Something, you know, could have gotten scheduled on us real quick and we have to do it. So I'm not saying it like that. But most of the things that you're talking about, we really have to try to work well in advance. So that, like you said, there's an application process. They need to have you in their system, and then they have to be able to work all that. What are some other ideas? Like when you're helping clients, what are some other ways?
So there are some paid options. Stellar Transportation is excellent, and they can schedule last minute for you. But they do prefer at least a 24-hour notice.
Sure.
But if they can help you. Another excellent resource is home care. Home health agencies are amazing. And with those, you would have to sign up with that agency. But a lot of times you can call and say, hey, I just got a reminder call, and my mom has a doctor's appointment tomorrow at 12 p.m. Do you have somebody that can take my mom? And they can do that. And a lot of times that'll be your hourly rate plus, I think, the IRS mileage rate, which is like 65.5 cents per mile.
Yeah.
That happens quite often, where we'll have a client that's, you know, on a typical schedule, but then all of a sudden, oh gosh, the doctor wants to see me tomorrow. And occasionally we'll have one, you know, that'll call in the morning, a client, and say they want to see me this afternoon, and we scramble to try to meet that need.
Yeah, because it's not always somebody just being a slacker and waiting to the last minute. It's just stuff happens, right? That's part of your job in case management, right? You have to kind of roll with whatever is going on, right?
I can set a schedule all day long, but I don't follow it.
No, I'm sure that's the case. But I was thinking about that. Some people might complain about the cost of a Stellar Transport, you know, if that was a thing that they might consider. Because Luis Gonzalez, who is the head of that, he was with us at Buena Vida, actually on Monday, because we were doing a seminar there called Your Transportation Options. And I learned a whole lot that I didn't know about things to do. Because he was talking about how they're able to, you know, if somebody's wheelchair bound, he goes, there's a difference between, well, I think he said door to door and then door through door, which is kind of where they are, because they can actually go and help the person get to the car and then into the building, as opposed to, you know, if you call Uber or something, it's, you know, they can't, you know, you go out to the car, get in the car. Oh, here's where you're getting dropped off. That's how that works. But I was thinking about that too, Jennifer, because, you know, somebody might complain about the cost of calling a service. Like if they called Seniors Helping Seniors and you said, well, it's a 2-hour minimum, here's how this works. But, you know, a lot of times if it's the adult child who says, well, I got to take time off from work, so I got to get my schedule, and then somebody else has got to go pick up the kids while I'm taking mom to the doctor, and you start putting all the costs of it together, it's really a bargain when you get somebody who can just manage that process for you safely and effectively.
Absolutely, it really is, and the time off from work, and then the stress of having to leave work, and then worrying, because we hear that a lot with the families of, you know, I want to take care of mom, I want to do the best that I can for her, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job because I've taken so much time off from work when she was in the hospital, taking her to and from appointments. So it's peace of mind for the family as well. Yeah. You know, that somebody is there taking care of mom and dad, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah. And I was thinking also, Amber, that isn't it true, though, as a case manager, you're also looking for ways to kind of optimize all this. So where you have some, I guess what you call it, discretion in terms of scheduling and making things happen, you're always going to try to figure out the most efficient way this can happen. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you go through? I mean, that's a big job. It's a big job.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. So it goes back to the individualization of each client.
Yeah.
So I have a good idea because of that in-depth intake of what I can do for this person, what they can afford, what they can't afford. But home care, private duty home care, I think is a great option as long as they can afford that option, because that person can not only take them to that doctor's appointment, they can go in, they can take notes for the family. There's so much more that can be done when you have a caregiver taking that person in and out of a doctor's appointment, and that, or whatever type of appointment. So that is really my go-to. If I'm the case manager and I'm taking somebody to an appointment, I like to use Stellar as well if I'm going to be the one meeting them there. But if I'm not able to be at that appointment, private duty home care all day long, I think, is the best option when it comes to transportation.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but I remember taking moms to appointments, and if you drop them off, they come out and they say, how was your doctor's appointment? Oh, it was fine.
Oh,
well, what did the doctor say?
He didn't say anything.
Oh,
it's
fine. Yeah. So how do you guys work as case managers to make sure that you're getting that? Because I'm sure from the mom's perspective or dad's perspective, when you picked them up, they thought, it was a nice visit, everything's good, I just keep my medicine. But there may have been a few nuances or things that the doctor said, well, maybe we should do this or that just didn't necessarily make it all the way back in the communications process. But that's something you look after, right?
Absolutely. So we also have nurse case managers whom, if they don't attend the appointment with that person, then they will go ahead and do a follow-up after the appointment and request records from that appointment, so we know how to follow up on it. So a lot of times one of us will be there with the client and able to hear it firsthand. But if not, we'll always figure out some way to get the information to us.
Yeah, so back to transportation options. Are there other thoughts that you have, like ways that seniors could look at managing transportation? Because I know, for example, in our office, the Senior Resource Center of Brevard, there's a company called Coastal Occupational Therapy. They go to your home and do the occupational therapy and different therapies. But one of the things, the owner of that organization, Jital Patel, she's very big about a thing called drivability, where she wants people to be safe in their vehicles as they age, and in fact she's involved with a program called Car Fit, where they make sure that you're driving your vehicle as safely as you can, and even if you have some kind of things that would challenge you, she's even knows how you can have your car modified in a way that's safe, that might keep you driving. But if you can't, or maybe you don't want to drive, there's a lot of other. We were talking about the Space Coast Area Transit has some options. Again, all these require planning, right?
Yes. The Space Coast Area Transit has a program, I believe it's called Volunteers in Motion. Absolutely excellent, but it does require some pre-planning. You need to do the application process, get on a waiting list, and you need to be able to schedule, I think, at least 7 days in advance for that. Back to what you were saying about Coastal Occupational Therapy, that program, Drivability, is amazing. I've used it with some of my clients that maybe we weren't sure if they should be driving anymore, or we had concerns that they shouldn't be driving, but maybe family out of state says, Dad's fine. Yeah. Dad's fine. So we have used that program to our advantage to have them basically evaluated, to give a really detailed report to the family so they can fully understand, okay, maybe dad shouldn't or mom shouldn't be driving. But that program is also used for people whom have disabilities. They've had a stroke, whatever it may be, and they're not comfortable getting back in the car yet. She has a physical therapy program and adaptive devices. It's really an amazing program.
Yeah. So again, what we were just talking about is Jital Patel with Coastal Occupational Therapy. But the voice you were hearing is actually Amber Payne, who is Director of Case Management with the Law Office of Amy B. Van Fossen. You guys really are so involved in the community in so many ways. Now, if somebody's been listening to us talk along about case management and the benefits, and I also like how you said, you're not signing up. You don't necessarily have to sign up for like something that's cost ineffective. You could sit down, do intake, and be then on I need, in case of emergency, I've got the help. How do people get in touch if they say they want to learn more and maybe talk to you or somebody in the office and say, okay, I heard you guys talking about this. How does this work?
Well, you can always go online and visit our website for more information, which is www.amybvanfossen.com, or you can give us a call in the office at 321-345-5945.
Okay. And Jennifer Barton, I just want to hammer this one more time. I think sometimes people think that the cost of getting help is going to cost so much. If I just hand mom the keys and she drives herself to the appointment, let's not even talk about if that's safe or not. But it just seems like when you start, but then like we also said, the scenario where somebody's got to take time off from work and then they're going to go and they've got to sit with mom for 2 or 3 hours, whatever it takes for that, and then get back. And I mean, it can be really disruptive. And you guys are able to really, I think when you start to add what those real costs are, you guys are very cost effective at helping and all that.
We try to keep it very reasonable and flexible. That's why we do the 2 hours, one time a week. Yeah. We try to keep it at a low minimum so that we're still meeting the needs of our senior community and keeping it flexible for them.
Yeah, and I love how that it's not just necessary, because we've had this conversation many times on the radio. It's not just for medical appointments. You guys will get folks to the grocery store, hair,
pharmacy, anywhere they want to go. Out to the movies, to Wickham Park Senior Center. We had a really very active, independent 96-year-old who liked to go up to the casino boats. Go out.
How much fun is that?
You never know.
Yeah.
Where we might go, but wherever they want to go is where we'll take them.
Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. Now, if they want to get in touch with you, either about maybe some transportation options, or like we were talking about earlier, maybe they want to look for a great employment opportunity with you, how do they get in touch with you?
We can be reached at 321-722-2999.
All right. So thank you, Amber Payne with Law Office of Amy B. Van Fossen. Thank you, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. And thank you, listener, for joining us. And remember, we'll see you Saturday morning at the Senior Resource Center, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. And then we will most definitely see you 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on October 7th, Saturday at the American Muscle Car Museum.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Where the Dodge versus Chevy challenge continues right here in this radio studio. See you next week for Helping Seniors Radio.